Ogungbe.
Yeah.
Good evening, welcome to Progress Ceremony. I'm Debbie Golt, I'm from Outerglobe.co.uk and I work with Juwon Ogungbe and with African Devo Arts. Just before we begin the Progress Ceremony itself, Juwon and I are just going to set the scene a bit. So, Progress Ceremony is Juwon's latest production, and we're extremely grateful to the Arts Council of England for financial support. Now, this performance tonight it's intact and fabulous and beautiful in itself. However, it's also part of a research and development process, and so in terms of performance and presentation, this began with a performance that had music only, and tonight you'll be experiencing the full force of the live force band Juwon Ogungbe and visuals created by Derek Nisbet, who's over there from Talking Birds. And earlier in December, the process went to Coventry University for a residency where Corinne Bougard of Union Dance led dance students and composition students provided a choir, and it had other elements with it. And this is a shape of how Progress Ceremony will progress in the future. Juwon,
Yes.
what is the inspiration for Progress Ceremony?
I've worked on several pieces in the past that draw from my identification with Yoruba mysticism and religion. But Progress Ceremony came to me while I was in the United States, in the University of Richmond, Virginia. I was an international visiting scholar, and I just happened to be secluded, surrounded by thickets of shrubbery for about 4 months. A lot of the time, and while I was there, it occurred to me that I could create a piece that would be multimedia, that would be a ceremony, a ritual based on some Yoruba belief system practice, but also could have projected images and various things. And by chance, there was a phone call from Derek Nisbet, someone I'd worked with quite a while ago, with an actor friend of mine called Patrice Nimbana. And suddenly there was a phone call from Derek in the USA, and he's in Coventry, and he was like, well, that's very odd. And so I called him, and we had a chat, and I said, well, actually, I've got this idea, so when I return to London, perhaps I'll come up to see you in Coventry, and we'll discuss it further. And I'd already sort of mapped out what the piece was going to be, like basing it on an honouring ancestors and deities ritual. But I also knew that I wanted, a very strong visual manifestation of this that wasn't just about the musicians and, music being performed. So when I arrived in London, I went up and saw Derek in Coventry, and we started developing the ideas. And I also saw Corinne Bougard, somebody I've worked with in lots of projects in the past of Union Dance. And, here we are now, at the end of this research and development process, having done a lot of really interesting things.
And there's a treat in store with those very interesting things. Progress Ceremony for me it's a very cohesive idea, and the music in it encompasses a lot of what you're known for. It's totally genre defying, and I feel there's this same kind of completeness in your album that came out last year, Life Force Music. But what is Life Force Music?
Well, the idea of Life Force Music came to me from reading Quincy Jones's autobiography, because in that, he, being a musician who studied with Nadia Boulanger, who is like the leading teacher of composers, especially American composers, even though she was based in France. So Quincy Jones said something about comparing the model of European virtuosic art music to that of what he described as the African life force music, as typified by the music of James Brown, to his voice, yes? Being a musician that sort of, in a sense, straddles those sort of two different camps, I felt that I wanted to say that, that this album There's actually life force music.
Very succinct. And this CD will be on sale later, Life Force Music, on Second Generation Records. And actually one of you could well win a copy, because I said it's a research and development process, so a bit later on I'll be handing out some survey sheets, and they're very quick. We'd really appreciate it if you could fill those in, and your responses could well shape up the next phase of Progress Ceremony. And also on them we'll be collecting your emails, please, and it'd be useful for you to put your email as well, because then they'll all go in a hat, or a symbolic hat, and someone will win the CD. So, just quickly I'll welcome Suzette Llewellyn, who's signing for tonight. Here is the intrepid DJ Mr. K, who will be playing later on. So, you know, we progress with the Progress Ceremony through performance and then the party afterwards. So, let us, without further ado,